5.3 Business Now.
Welcome back to Business Now. Africa's largest telecommunication firm, MTN Group, has reported a significant foreign exchange loss of 887.7 billion naira. This increase of 95.2% has posed challenges to the company's earnings capacity in the first half of 2024. The telco giant reported a significant loss of 519.1 billion naira after tax, along with negative retained earnings of 727.2 billion naira. Meanwhile, Airtel Africa announced a profit before tax of $74 million for the second quarter of this year. This represents a remarkable 134% increase compared to the $221 million pre-tax loss reported by the company during the same period in the 2022-2023 financial year. Well, joining me to speak to these latest MTN and Airtel Africa's earnings is Frank Elias, senior market analyst and writer at Tech Cabal. Good morning. It's good to have you on the show.
Good morning. As always, a pleasure to join the show.
Yes, indeed. Talk to me. What are the key ratios, in the earnings of these two telco giants for you as a professional, as a market professional?
I think it's the fact that despite all that has happened, they continue to make a very strong statement in terms of their subscriber base and both voice and data subscriber base seem not really affected, despite the fact that they needed to comply with NCC directive on banning those whose SIM were not linked with their NIN. But even then, they have been very, very focused on making sure that everyone that the SIM was blocked was reactivated. And thankfully, the NCC now came with that new directive that everybody's SIM should be unbanned and everybody should continue what they're doing. So I think that's really going to help them in the next quarter that we're looking at. But looking at also the macroeconomics, which is affecting consumer wallet, I still think there's a long way to go for both companies. But in terms of onboarding new subscribers, they have done quite well, and also in terms of opening up new businesses, they have also been very bullish on that. I think that's also what's helping their revenue stay a bit stable somewhat, even though the losses are beginning to set in. But I think that once they keep pushing along the other lines of the businesses that they are beginning to open, maybe they might find some stability somewhere.
Let's come to the losses. You look at Naira devaluation. Do you think that the Naira devaluation or weakness would continue to be a major downside for both MTN and Airtel, at least in the near to medium term?
Yes, I think so. I think that what has happened to the Naira will always be a major focus for the companies. The telecom business is a very it's a capital intensive business. It requires FX, to import virtually all the equipment that they use for or to run the business, whether you're talking about building base stations, whether you're talking about equipments to power the lines, whatever it is, whatever part of the business that you're talking about, you have to import there, because we don't manufacture any of those here. And so you then have to realize how much of impact not having enough FX is going to have on their business. And the fact that even if you achieve some sort of stability on the value of the Naira, the fact that the Naira has gone higher than what has weakened very much compared to what it used to be before, is always going to be a very big issue. It is trading, the Naira is trading at between 1,400 to 1,500. That's very far from where they're coming from, which is around 750, 800-ish, So adjusting to that new trend is going to be a major issue for them in the long run. So it's not going to be, they're not going to be out of waters, I don't think, say in the next quarter or the second quarter. And of course, there's still a turbulence in terms of regulatory policies. They've been asking the regulator to increase the price of their service, but the regulator has not budged till now for some reasons, and they strongly say that that's a factor, and they are also looking at electricity, which has not been resolved unless Nigeria has a big plan of resolving. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So, in what key areas or business segments do you see headroom for growth for these two listed telco giants or telco leaders?
I think that their decision to look elsewhere for revenue might be a good thing for now. Both companies are looking at building data centers, hyperscale data centers. Airtel is building, and MTN is also building, and both data centers are supposed to come live in 2025, 2026 latest. And if that happens, there's a big demand for data centers in West Africa, in Nigeria. That could give them extra legroom to grow their revenue. And they are also, MTN, for instance, is also looking at exploring these big data. It incorporated a company called Genesis last year, and what they are doing with big data, exploring all the data that their subscribers supply, and looking at ways that they can use it to create solutions that the society needs. Those are areas that they can leverage quickly, working with banks, working with financial companies, fintechs, or the startups, providing services like address systems that they are talking about. They're talking about also solving issues in cyber fraud. So if they are able to pursue those, I think in the short term, they might be able to recoup some of those losses. But at the moment, yeah.
I want you to quickly, if you can give me your response in about 30 seconds, how should investors trade these latest earnings? What's your outlook on their full year performance?
I think the full year performance is not going to be anything different from what they saw last year. But there might be some level of growth. These are very, very important stocks on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I think that anybody who's trading them isn't quite making a mistake, but you have to have a long-term outlook for you to be able to make anything out of it. But if you're thinking about we're going to make money in the next quarter, I don't think you might be disappointed actually.
All right, Frank Elianya, senior analyst and writer at Tech About. Thank you so much for walking us through the MTN and Airtel Africa's half-year earnings. To have a great day ahead, sir. Well, that's the package of the show for today, the 1st of August. I am Armin Day for Lauren, and we wish you a great and a profitable day ahead, everyone. It's goodbye.
This is 95.3 Business Now.